Going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the League Report Pod. Everybody's back at their parents' house to record today, right? Carl's
Yeah,
back in St. Louis.
yeah,
Blake been in St. Louis. I'm back in St. Louis finally for
yeah.
Thanksgiving break. So yeah, how's y'all break? How's y'all quote unquote break been so far?
Man, I've been asleep the whole time, dog.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
I've been doing is sleep. Like Blake, what'd you say? I'm back in the dungeon. Yeah, I'm back in the
You
dungeon.
back in that dungeon.
Yeah,
I haven't doing much. I think I slept in a little bit. Got some 2K in because I ain't got a PS4 up there in Columbia, so I've been getting my 2K in. 2K is getting boring though. I'm not even gonna lie. I got to get the new one though.
Forget 2K.
Yeah,
I'm never buying a game.
yeah. I'm probably gonna end up buying it. Because they did say this new one was. They did end up saying the new one was probably one of the best. Which I mean, you have it right.
Yeah, it's good. I thought you had it.
No, I had the 2K21. Is that the latest one?
Yeah.
I thought you had the new one because I could have remembered you. Your dad.
No, he
said
I got the
he
newest
had
Madden.
2K21.
I got the new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the newest Madden. That's what I got, but I ain't got the newest 2K. I
Oh,
probably got
you got 22. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not that I play it. Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't bought 2K since 2K16.
Let me tell y'all what y'all need to buy though, bro. This game fun as hell. Y'all need to get UFC. UFC is fun as hell, bro. That I don't watch UFC fighting and none of that, but that game is addicting as hell to play. I got addicted to it. Yeah. That game hard.
It's pretty fun. I bought UFC. I got 13. That was a long time ago though.
Yeah. I can't remember the latest number, but that game.
You old.
Oh, all my games. Hey, my newest game is think like Batman Arkham City that came out 2017. I haven't bought games in a long time because I don't play the game no more.
I'm like borderline. I'm not a gamer, but because I only play like for real one game. The only game I'm consistently playing is 2K. Yeah. Blake, would you say Blake probably plays the most games? Would you call yourself a gamer, or are you just kind of teetering that line a little bit?
I'm kind of on that line. I'm not like all the time, but I have like my rotation of what I
he got a gaming chair, bro. He a gamer.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the Lakers right now, but I just got a notification
please, no.
We just got a notification that Pistons big man Isaiah Stewart tries to take on the whole Lakers team after getting elbowed by LeBron. So there's a fight right now. Yeah, I'm gonna see it. Yeah. I'll see it probably after we record. We're gonna talk about the Lakers. I just had to let y'all know about that. But before we get to them, Blake, I know you were a very, very happy man today. As soon as this notification hit my phone, I immediately thought about what you were gonna say. But the Kings have finally fired Luke Walton. After a 6-11 start to the season, they lost their seven of their last 8 games, and they have a total record under him of 68-93. And also, even when he was with the Lakers, there was a record of 98-148. Now, I'll give this to him. He did get a Lakers team that was kind of in the process of rebuilding, but even in that first year, he was there that first year when LeBron got there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was.
Yes,
then Vogel came.
Yeah, he was.
And then even when LeBron gets there, they were a sorry team. Now, he even had a little bit of an excuse there because LeBron was out for an extensive period of time. But even when he got back, even when he was healthy, it just never felt like they could figure the entire thing out. Blake, first of all, scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now that Luke Walton is no longer the Kings?
98.
A 98?
He broke the scale.
I tell you, when I got the notification, I almost jumped with joy. It's so overdue. Like I didn't understand. I don't know if he had signed like some kind of lifetime contract or he had pictures on somebody in the organization. But I don't know, man. It was way overdue. Now I told I think I made a tweet and I watched them make the playoffs now that he's not there. But I tell you that's been a did y'all see? I think last night at King game somebody threw up on the court. Yeah, that's kind of a symbolization of how that whole time was. So,
yeah. Somebody in the comments when Bleach Report posted said, "What did he say?" I told Ty what he said.
You did text me. You texted me.
Yeah, I said the fans. Somebody in the comments said the fans sick and tired of the Kings. So
dude, that game last night was definitely like the last straw. Like they had a little bit. I don't know if you guys watched the highlights, but they had a little bit of momentum, like in that first half, and then everything kind of just went to shit in like that second half, and it was horrible. Defensively, they were terrible. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, defensively, they're really bad. And that's kind of been a theme for pretty much every Luke Walton team, but especially with this team. Defensively, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. It's been that way for the last couple of years. There was a small part in the beginning of last season where they were actually decent on the defensive end, but still, they've been sorry on that end. Last night, Utah isn't a very efficient team. Utah's a good team, but they're not efficient. But they had to shoot it like 50s from the floor and 40% from three. So, and scored, I think they broke 110 last night, the score from a scoring standpoint. So, just horrific defense. The thing with the players, though, is another weird thing, because I really wanted to say he never really had the approval, because we always hear the thing with coaches in the NBA is that the players never really get along with them, right? Carl mentioned before Stan Van Gundy when he was in New Orleans. Who's another guy that we can think of as a coach who just never really got through to his players? I'm trying to think.
Luke Walton.
No, but him. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, with him, it's weird because I can't tell with Luke Walton, because I remember watching the press conference and it was the game before the Jazz game, and they were saying Richaun Holmes and De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox was pissed. De'Aaron Fox even said, it's not like we're going to make the playoffs or anything. But in that same post-game presser, he also said, okay, well, we can't even blame Luke Walton for it. We can't blame Richaun, and Richaun Holmes said, we can't blame Luke Walton for it. And on the flip side, there's the Marvin Bagley situation where he refuses to check into the game for a set amount of time, playing under Luke Walton. So it's kind of a mixed thing with him as far as how players think about him as a coach. It's kind of a weird thing there. So I don't really know what to think about it.
I can blame it on them. They might not want to, but I can. That's just, they haven't made the playoffs in almost 20 years. And it's just been Dave Joerger. He was all right. And then you bring in Luke. I don't know what they expected Luke to do. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's been riding on that half season he had with the Warriors almost 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking of teams that really didn't mesh with the players. Coaches that really didn't, mesh with the players. You can sense the coach just coaches, but the players really don't respect them. In a way. So I was thinking of some coaches. What about you? All remember Earl Watson for the Suns?
Yeah.
Do you think they ever really liked them? I don't know. It's just a question.
I think I didn't think Earl Watson was a great coach, but I think the players liked Earl Watson. Okay. I think he was one of the first guys actually to say that Devin Booker was going to end up being what he was. Remember when Devin Booker got drafted, we kind of thought of him as a sixth man, but then even so, I'm trying to think of some. There are definitely some other guys out there.
Atlanta's old coach.
Question though, I feel like they liked Lloyd Pierce, but Lloyd Pierce just couldn't win. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they were cool with Lloyd Pierce, but I think of one last year, Nate Jorkin with the Pacers, right? They didn't mesh with him at all. Yeah. He's probably the number one guy. Blake, circling it back to the Kings, Blake, you mentioned Dave Joerger, and I really honestly think when they got him, I thought that was going to be a step in the right direction. He had a really weird short stint with the bad Grizzlies team where he did help him get to the playoffs. And so he kind of goes to a new young team. And hopefully we were thinking, okay, this is, as far as coaches go, this could be a step in the right direction. This is a guy who's gotten kind of the approval from his players over the last couple of years or whatever. And that entire thing just kind of falls apart, And y'all mentioned it too, the Luke Walton thing and where this hype for Luke Walton came from. If this was any other coach, and I'm going to say it, especially a black coach, if after that stint with the Lakers, he would not have a spot, with Sacramento or whatever, right after that. So, that's the weird situation it is right now. It's like, it's just, he kind of is riding the coattails that Warriors run, because you look at it all and you look at the Warriors situation. And if I had Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and all those guys, I'd win too. I'd have a good record as well. So, it was an overrated run, that they just kind of ran off of and I just didn't think much of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. If he was black coach, I don't even think he'd get that long of a shot. I think he gets probably 1 year of losing real bad, and then they just fire him. We've seen that.
Oh no, they give him they'll give him 30. They'll give him about 30 games.
I thought you was about to say 30 days. I honestly don't know how long that'll last with. I don't know. It's just because black coaches have a shorter leash in the league. I don't know we know why, but it's just kind of wrong. Lloyd Pierce isn't going to get another spot in some time. He's probably on somebody's coaching staff right now, but let's say Luke Walton left a bad Lakers situation with LeBron James. Now they did kind of
get Frank Vogel for him, and anybody would pick Frank Vogel over Luke Walton. You know what I mean? Anybody would, but still, you know, like I feel like if Luke Walton were losing in Atlanta, you know, and he was in the same position as Lloyd Pierce was, if you let him go, you know, he'd be somewhere else coaching within the next year or two or whatever. So it's just, I didn't get the hype and yeah, I just didn't get it. As you said, it was a long time coming for him to get out of there. And I don't really know what this means for Sacramento moving forward, because they definitely have a lot of talent. Like we've always talked about them as a great young talented team, you know, from De'Aaron Fox to Mitchell to Halliburton, even to Marvin Bagley. You know, what do you guys feel about we never really talked about him, but what do you guys feel about Marvin Bagley as a player?
He's got a lot of upside. He just needs to. I think if he was on a different team, it would probably be a different story. I don't know. When he was drafted, he kind of seemed like he was going to be this transcendent kind of all-star player, but it just hasn't worked out. I really think it has to do with just that environment, that Kings environment. I don't know. It's not that good of an environment for a player like him. I feel like if he was somewhere else, say, anywhere else, I think he'd do pretty good. Honestly.
Yeah.
I thought he was good coming out of college, but they did kind of put him on that pedestal. He's going to be this, you know, multiple-time all-star type of player. I never saw that. I just thought he was a good player. But I do think, like Blake said, it's the situation in the organization. It sucks.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's probably the worst consistently bad organization in sports.
Detroit.
Listen to what I said. It's the worst consistently bad organization in sports. That's you got to think about how I said it. But
I can think some other ones that suck in sports.
Name some other ones.
The Lions. They suck. The Jaguars. They suck.
Okay, the Lions worse probably.
The Lions. That's all time suck. That's terrible. Jaguars are horrible. The Mariners, they're horrible.
Yeah, they ain't made the playoffs since like late 90s.
Terrible.
Damn, really?
Yeah, 2001 actually.
Yeah, so 2000. Yeah, so
I don't know why. I don't know how they still getting fans up there, but
you know,
they're in Seattle, right? Yeah, they in Seattle, right? Yeah.
The thing about Bagley too, he's still like super young. Like, he was supposed to, when he was in college, he was still supposed to be a senior in high school.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. I mean, my thing with Bagley was this. First of all, I'm just gonna admit it. One of my worst draft takes. I mean, at the time, if you look at it back at the time, it wasn't crazy to say Marvin Bagley was better than Luka Doncic. But I did think Marvin Bagley was a better prospect than Luka, because they came in that same draft, right?
Yeah, that wasn't
crazy.
Yeah, that wasn't crazy to say, because we haven't really seen. We're from the United States, bro. We ain't seen no foreign player play. Even in the highlights, you question, because we've seen players play like that in the foreign leagues come over here and suck. So
yeah, I was big time on the Marvin Bagley train. I thought he was going to end up being. He still could, as Blake mentioned, he's young as hell. But I did see Anthony Davis in him. I saw a ton of Anthony Davis in him, you know, from the size and the shooting and the quickness off his feet, you know, and the athleticism. And he's shown flashes of it. But as you guys mentioned, it's just a really weird situation in Sacramento. I also don't think he really meshed with Luke Walton. And that kind of speaks to the thing where he didn't want to sub into the game. And that was a major concern. And at the beginning of the season, I think his people said something like, we're not going to play for y'all. And they were almost to the point where they were demanding a trade, you know, but I think in perfect transition, now Alvin Gentry is a new head coach. And Alvin Gentry is a guy who players across the league really, really like, you know, and I really think his time in New Orleans when, you know, around that first year they got Lonzo and when they were in the bubble, I really think the players liked him, and they had a really good run before COVID hit. You know, you really can't forget that. Like his last time of being a head coach, you know, got disrupted, you know, by COVID. But even still, you know, when that entire situation, before that situation happened, they were a solid young team that was on the verge of actually possibly being a 9th seed or an 8th seed in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely were.
And that didn't happen.
They definitely were though, because before COVID happened, remember they were on like this winning streak. They were like nudging with the Grizzlies. They were like right behind them.
For sure. You even think about his days before Alonzo or Zion gets there, right? He was there during the Anthony Davis era, right? You know, and they had think about some of the stuff he was tasked with. He was tasked with trying to make, and let me know if I'm wrong about the coaching, but he was tasked with trying to make the DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis thing work, and it did work, and it looked great. Like that. with Rondo. Drew Holiday was there, and they made the playoffs a couple years. They didn't get, I don't think, past the first round. Maybe they got in the second round at one point.
They did. No, I mean, because they kept running into Golden State. So.
That's true. That's true.
They only got past the first round at one point when they beat Portland. Remember they beat Portland? Bad. They swept them.
Yes, that's very true. So Gentry's a great head coach who's got playoff experience. Remember his earlier days, when he was coaching the Suns and got kind of a lackluster early 2010 Suns team to the playoffs or whatever. So he's a good coach, and he's a guy that young players like, obviously, very outspoken dude on social issues and all of that. And that stuff resonates as it should. It resonates well with young players that they have a coach who cares. That's not saying Luke Walton doesn't care about that stuff, but that's just speaking about Alvin Gentry's that's just speaking about Alvin Gentry's character. So I'm excited about what he's going to be able to bring to the table for that team. And I think, it could be a better thing for Bagley. He's kind of been back in the lineup here and there, but it's just been nothing super consistent. He's been in and out. But this is obviously is a new thing. It's going to be a new system. Maybe not an entirely new system, but he's going to make his changes. Obviously, you're going to have your hand on the remote control a lot more if you're the head coach relative to being an assistant coach and just a guy on the bench. Do you think, this is a tough question to ask because honestly, we're not going to be able to know until some point, and during the season when they have them or however long they have them. But do you think this should be the permanent coach moving forward? Because they easily could go out in the market and look for another guy. Yeah. Should they just ride with them for the rest of the season?
I think they should give him a chance because he's built enough, a good enough resume to, qualify for a chance like this. So I think they should let him coach probably how many games left? Like 60 probably? 65?
Yeah.
65 games. Let them coach that, see how well they do, even if they don't make the playoffs, but you see some improvement, keep them released for another year. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly,
I doubt you see some improvement though.
But I will say this: we can talk about the coaching, but you can't talk about the drafting. They have drafted very well. De'Aaron Fox he hasn't been great this season, but De'Aaron Fox has franchise level potential. You know what I mean? He doesn't have an all-star yet, does he? But he's basically a borderline all-star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. You can tell he worked too. Because remember coming out of college, there was some questions about his jump shot. He's definitely improved that a little bit more. But we forgot we was talking about organizations that suck. We forgot about the Timberwolves. They were kind of on that same. Even though they made the playoffs with Jimmy Butler before that, they didn't make it for a while until Kevin Garnett.
Terrible.
So
terrible.
They kind of run to me under the same boat as far as organizations. Even if they get a lot of talent, they're just poorly ran.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
The Kings slight them out, but they're very similar because those are two teams that had early success in the 2000s and their very early 2000s, and then just hit a rut after that. Now, Minnesota had a very brief high point, when they obviously got Jimmy Butler. I can't really call that a high point because that team just never meshed. And then we're back to where we're at right now. With Sacramento, it was just the 2000s with Chris Webber and all those guys, Mike Bibby and those players, and everything from there was everything from there was like downhill. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he definitely got to be on it.
What they call it? What they call it? Juice? Yeah, he on that juice.
He was juicing, yeah, for sure. I think didn't he coach? I'm thinking of Brandon Roy. He coaches some high school team now.
They ejected LeBron.
They ejected LeBron.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about them in a second. Them boys going through it. Good Lord. But yeah, no, I think it's a good situation for them. And as I said before, with the Kings. We can talk about the coaching, we can talk about all of that, but you can't talk about how they drafted Fox. I mentioned, Davion Mitchell, Therese Halliburton, who I think was the steal of last year's draft. He was a lower top 10 pick around there, and then ends up becoming like top 3 in the rookie of the year race. There is Marvin Bagley, and they have every right in the world to still feel confident about that pick because, as Blake mentioned, he's got upside, he's got a bunch of talent. Even like some guy like Rashawn Holmes. They kind of picked Rashawn Holmes up, but he was a great pickup. They extended him a little bit. Great big man. He's the modern big man who can pick and roll. He's got solid paint game, solid defender around the rim, all of that stuff. So I can't really talk about their accumulation of talent that much.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to keep players like Harrison Barnes and stuff like that over the next few seasons? You think they're going to trade him away or let him walk?
No, they're going to trade him. They're going to trade him and Buddy Hield.
What about Buddy? But because I've seen that's nothing. I've seen Buddy Hield in a lot of trade scenarios.
Yeah, Hield and Harrison Barnes are literally the 2 trade pieces for this team. They're also Bagley may be a trade piece. You know what I mean? If they really want to go and get some mid-major level player. It'll end up probably revolving around a Harrison Barnes plus Buddy Hield or some, and maybe Marvin Bagley trade piece or a trade package, something like that. But no, those two guys are definitely movable as hell. Then you think about, and yeah, because they're kind of Hield's at a weird point because, as you mentioned, Carl, like they've been dancing around the idea of trading Buddy Hield for a very, very long time.
I don't know why. I like him.
He should have been in LA. He should have been in LA, Carl. Y'all decided to go get Westbrook.
It's two dudes that should have been in LA except Russ. But I don't want to get Russ. Russ, he might. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah. But yeah, Hield's going to be at the move by the deadline. Like even when you see a coaching head coaching change, I can see at some point there also being some roster changes. They have room to experiment or whatever. They got to get something going. And I really do think within the next year or so they can make the playoffs. I even think they can get some momentum going this year. I just think that. I think they have the talent to do it and all of that. So
yeah, they need to hold Mark Jackson captain, just put him in a headlock, get Mark Jackson out of the announcer's chair and make him coach the team.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
That's the only hope, getting him.
Yep.
I don't know about all that. You acting a little too optimistic for the boys.
What, playoffs next year?
Yeah, I think they going home. Get when the playoffs April. Yep. Trying to take that yearly vacation.
Yeah. If it doesn't happen this year, I can see it happening next year. Like I said, there's just too much talent and too many trade pieces for this team to not be able to make something happen. And as I said, I'm not mad at their GMing at all. I think they have very, very solid GMing. So
yeah, we've seen coach changes make a whole big difference in the organization.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta, we assumed they were going to make the playoffs at the start of the season, and they were struggling. Then they changed coach, boom, took off.
We wrote Atlanta off last year.
Atlanta's actually good though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you look at the way they started, we thought they were going to be good, and they started always like these dudes not going to make no playoffs, not playing like this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And even though Atlanta had veteran pieces last year, end of the day, their core was still young guys, right? There was a Trae Young, who I think at that time just got extended. There was a John Collins, who we weren't sure about how much he was going to get extended for. So their core was a bunch of young guys, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish. There's still the Lou Williams and Danilo Gallinari's and those guys off the bench.
Kevin too.
Kevin Huerter's another young guy. So Clint
Capella. Yeah.
Clint Capella.
So that team is loaded though.
But I'm saying their core was young guys. For Sacramento, their core is a bunch of young guys too. So as Carl mentioned, a head coaching change could be for the better. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. But I think Alvin Gentry is a really good guy to have for the job. Even if he was out there on the market, he should have been a name they could have been looking at. Because I think, as I said, with the way he left off was, they looked bad in the bubble. They end up going like 0 I think, in the bubble, right? Like I don't think they won one in the bubble. Yeah. Before that, they were pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? So I think, for him, it's a fresh new situation. I think he's going to reinvent a lot of the right stuff, for this team. So I have some faith that they're going to be able to get things right. And if it's not going to be this season, it could end up possibly being next season or whatever. So
we'll see. Yeah. I'll give them a chance.
Yeah.
They'll be all right.
Yeah. On top of that, Carl, I got to do it. We got to talk about them now. Currently, you guys are losing 99-84 against the Pistons. So the dumpster fire continues, and you're below 500. But I want to talk about LeBron's return to LA. Right. So his first game in LA, not in LA, his first game back for LA against Boston, goes for 23 points on 10 for 16 and 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Lakers looked great in that first half. Did you guys watch that game?
Mm-hmm. I watched the first couple quarters and I didn't watch the third because you know what happened. So
everything went downhill. Yeah, everything went downhill in that third quarter. You guys looked great. AD was aggressive and all of that stuff. And then second half, everything just kind of goes away and you guys defensively just give up a ton. Boston shoots it at a ridiculous percentage in that second half and really throughout the entire game and blows you guys out, I think 130-108. And this is also without Jaylen Brown. And now we're in a situation to where we're losing to the Pistons. The weird thing about this team is this. Mm-hmm. You said it last episode. Offensively, they're just two sides of the ball. They have not figured it out. They haven't gotten it done offensively at all.
Nope.
At all. It even looked at points like we said it before. LeBron and Russ on the floor. just hasn't looked great just yet. We're still waiting on Frank Vogel to figure out what to do with those guys together on the court together.
I never liked Frank Vogel coaching the Lakers. I never thought they should have picked him as a coach, but that's another, whatever. But keep going.
That's a good point that you brought up, because at the beginning, maybe the second episode that I was actually listening to today, our second episode, I asked you guys, I said, do you think Frank Vogel could handle, because we've known Frank Vogel to be a great defensive coach, right? Mm-hmm. But can he handle, but offensively, he's been good, but he hasn't been an amazing offensive coach his entire career. So can he handle Russell Westbrook and LeBron and AD all three together? And it just looks like at this point, no.
What I said?
You said you didn't think so. You said you didn't think so. Yeah.
I never really believed it. I know he had some good years with the Pacers, but with the Magic, he really didn't. But that Magic team he didn't really have great, he had some talent, but not, whatever, what they have now. But I just never believed in him as a coach, because I feel like he doesn't have command of the players like a coach should. I don't know. Because you got LeBron, whatever LeBron, any team LeBron, he go out coach the coach. But
that's true.
You got players really coaching the team from the sidelines. You just standing there. You really not. I don't know. I don't like him as our coach.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never got that from him in Indiana, but I did think it was going to be an issue with him, because, like I said, he won a championship. I'll give him credit for that. But my biggest thing was, and he did help them become when they did win a championship, they were the best defensive team in the NBA, or one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, and he brought that identity to this team.
Yeah. Now I'll say this: when LeBron was with the early Heat team, when he had Eric Spoelstra, they were struggling that first half of the season. It was some talks about Pat Riley coming back and coaching. So once they put that lit some fire up under their ass, you start coaching good then. So I think some ownership, somebody, Jeannie Buss needs to put some fire up under him. Then he start coaching better. Then they start playing. Then just saying, that's how it's amazing. It's amazing how the mind work when you under pressure.
Yeah, that's true. But I
think y'all need a whole lot of something. It starts with a team.
Hey, Ty, I noticed. I was looking at the East Conference standings up there. I saw the Hawks; they were like way below.
Yeah. I ain't gonna talk about them, right? We ain't gonna worry about them. And the Rockets, the worst team.
Wait, Carl, aren't y'all like in the same place we are though?
Nobody's team is worse than y'all right now.
Yeah, y'all like.
I think they ain't doing too hot themselves. Ty, I know you on your high horse now since the Wizards in they top in the East, but Carl, you can't talk. They ain't doing too good themselves.
They 11th. We not 11th. I know that.
Getting there.
But there's more. But there's more hope that. Yeah. But there's more hope that LA is going to figure it out, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's just talent, and there are just too many. To me, it's just there's too much on this roster for me to think that they're not going. There's way too much on this roster for me to not think. I'm trying to say this the right way. There's too much on this roster. I think at some point they're going to get something right, even if it ends up becoming a trade or something systematically. One of those two things are going to happen, and I think something positive is going to come out of the season for them. You know what I mean? Like I'm just
Because to me, I'm from LeBron's past teams. The new teams he's like assembled, because he's the mastermind. He be getting all the players. But from the new team he's assembled, it always takes that second half of the season for them to get right. That first half is a roller coaster.
Yeah,
it's really hell. If you want to be honest with you.
Yeah,
play. They'll win 5 games or 4 or 5 games out of 6, whatever. You think they look good, then they'll lose 3 out of 4, and the cycle just keeps going. It's inconsistent.
Yeah.
So that's true. Question: who gets traded first?
Russ is going to be the first guy out. If it happens, Russ is Russ. If it happens, absolutely. Really? Now your question is this, because you're not going to go trade. Here's the thing. If you go, I don't want to speak way too extremely here, because as I said, maybe they figure something out. But let's say you do trade them.
If they don't, somebody's getting traded.
Right. But let's tackle Russ. Interesting question, because let's say let's go super hypothetical, and let's say we do move away Russ. No contender. Name a contender that's going to be willing to pick him up.
Nobody right. That's $40 million, bro. Nobody. No, like, why would you pick that contract up for a player that's clearly declining? That's like makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like
unless somebody buys them out.
That's extreme. To me, that's almost too extreme. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say that's why I don't think they're probably not going to trade it, because they probably can't. So I think, and LeBron's on the team, that's his buddy. I think they're going to try to figure out as much as they can. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think, that's true.
There are good situations. Like you can also, as we mentioned, you could go make the Sacramento thing. It'll look weird in Sacramento because then you got like 4 point guards. You got Davion Mitchell, Russell Westbrook, De'Aaron Fox, and Tyrese Halliburton. I'm trying to think. There are probably some bad teams out there. Like, okay, let's say we go. Let's think about probably making something work with Minnesota. There are some trades out there that make sense. But as that super. Back? Yeah, like as another guy can shoot and he's not going to get into play. He can play make if you want him to, and he can play coexist with LeBron, and he's more mature. He
would, but I think I was either Blake or I told D'Angelo Russell ain't nothing but a little side piece and something. They trade him like every other year. He literally teams don't trade for him to keep him. They trade for him to look for what they can see to trade for him the next year.
Trade bait
because he's good. He's
trade bait.
He's a good player though.
Yeah, he was
that's what he is.
He was an all-star once, bro. Like that's the thing about D'Angelo. But I mean, it's something out there. Yeah, because remember they got first rounded, but he got that Brooklyn team to the first round. They didn't get.
Yeah, that team was fun to watch. They used to dance on the sideline.
That team was hella fun. They got beat by the Sixers, but in that first round, but they were still kept it competitive.
That was a very entertaining series.
Yeah, how short it was.
Jared Dudley and Ben Simmons.
That was hilarious.
Hey, we went far in this episode without mentioning Ben Simmons.
We went about 30 minutes without mentioning them. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys can figure it out. And then the defense thing is just what gets me because, as I said, you guys have one of the best defensive coaches in the NBA. And what kills me is over the offseason, you go out and get DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard. And obviously, DeAndre Jordan hasn't even been in the lineup, which we predicted. But you have these guys. Yeah, but we have all these guys.
He was starting at first, though.
Then what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
He's out. We saw that coming. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you have Avery Bradley who's back in the rotation now, and Anthony Davis, you just wonder why this team is. How can you have Avery Bradley on the court with Anthony Davis at crucial points in time and still be whack on the defensive end? I really just don't get it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's from a standpoint of I think people really underestimate the word. What's the word? Not just being used to each other, but just building chemistry with each other actually matters. If you don't have chemistry, you don't know where that dude's gonna be on pick and roll. You don't know if he's gonna come up, come back. You confused. Yeah. You don't know if you trust him to. It's certain things you don't trust. You don't trust. Yeah, you don't trust them to rotate. It's stuff like their chemistry is very off, and you can tell. So which is
weird. Yeah, true. Now I got you. My bad for cutting you off, but which is weird because Bradley's played with this Lakers team before, and he's got a ring with them, right? Like and there is a lot of as you mentioned, there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of stuff that you'd expect from a team that just doesn't have chemistry together.
You see a lot of this. You see a lot of hands. LeBron infamous for that.
A lot of I don't know what. A lot of that.
Yes, he is, Carl. No, he infamous for this right here.
Yeah, that. Yeah,
but what are you doing?
Yeah, it is a lot of that going on.
You were supposed to be down there.
Yeah. And I just don't get it for a Frank Vogel led team, and so and it does just kind of leave you to think, man, what if they just kept the same guys from that team before when they won a ring? Obviously, it was tough because I think Howard just kind of left, and I think Rondo just dipped, right? A lot of those guys just went out. Yeah, a lot of those guys went out and left, But I even think, okay, let me ask y'all this: do you think because last season was kind of weird, I remember last offseason when they got Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. And we were thinking, oh, man, these guys are without a doubt going to repeat. I remember texting y'all when they went and made those moves, like these dudes just won a ring and they brought all these players back. Do you think that Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell team at some point would have been good? Like, do you think if they would have kept that core right then and there?
My thing is, it never really looked the best it can look to me. Like, it looked okay, but like they needed, obviously the only thing and real reason it didn't work because LeBron and AD was hurt. So I guess it's really tough to say, but Montrezl at times just looked small on the court when he tried to play big man. That really hurt us defensively at times. And Schroeder, he played well in spurts. He never played good consistently. So I don't know. Them injuries really messed that whole team up. The whole team.
My thing was, and obviously I'm making it a lot more easier, like a lot more simple than what it is, because a lot of stuff happened from a contractual standpoint. Just make that core not work. Like there really wasn't much you could do with Trez, right? I mean, Trez was included. They traded Trez, but they could have kept that team together and ran it back, because as you mentioned, last year was just a matter of no chemistry because everybody was hurt. We've seen teams where they didn't have chemistry that first season, then they run it back, and then it looks like it's going to work, right? Like kind of the Clippers thing last year, like the first season, it didn't look like it worked. And then last year, obviously they got to the West Finals and lost, but who knows, as I said, who knows what would have happened if Kawhi was there? You know what I'm saying?
Lost. They still would have lost. They the Clippers.
I doubt it. I think they would have beat the Suns if Kawhi was there. For sure.
Yeah, it would have been close. I'm saying going to the finals wise, that would have been a good series against the Bucks.
That would have been. Yeah. But still, but still, like we've seen teams where it doesn't work first year because of a lot of extra stuff, and then they come in second year and they run it back under a different type of regime or whatever. So
I ask you this though: do you think Paul George played better without Kawhi? When after Kawhi got hurt after that Mavericks series, because I think he looked better without Kawhi than with.
Yeah, because it's two things. One, I think you're trying to get to the point where those two guys don't really mesh well together. I feel like what you're getting at, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if they don't mesh together. It's maybe I am saying that, but I think they can. But I don't think it's. I don't see it happening because when they're on the court at the same time, they don't look used to playing with each other, which they aren't really.
Everybody's hurt every 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's gonna look more confident. Even now, we haven't seen PG play like he is now with the Clippers. Because he's going to share touches, you're not going to get the ball as many. We know it's a matter of how many touches he's getting or whatever. But I think they can make it work for sure. But circling right back to LA, man, it was rough. They got the loss to the Pistons. We're going to look at what happened to make this game.
They still playing. They still playing against the Pistons. The game not over.
What score?
3-point game. Pistons winning by 3. 7 minutes left. We go.
Also, I wanted to track my earlier statement saying that LeBron just be sitting there doing this. I think he's a very good defensive player.
Thank you for giving LeBron some credit.
But it's a 3-point game with 7 minutes left. We got a chance to still win.
Okay. But even so, it's going to be weird because we're like, well, LeBron's not even like, we're not going to judge this team unless LeBron is in the lineup because he just got kicked from the game.
I can't wait to see the ejection. I want to look at that as soon as
I want to see it too because they said his face. They said, I want to see it.
That's like LeBron's second or third ejection probably of his career.
I think second.
I think it's his second because he don't get mad like that. That's why I want to see it.
Yeah. While we gave the Lakers a tough time, we have to give the Celtics a little bit of credit. We talked about this team extensively and how bad they've looked over periods of time, but then they've won 6 of the last 7, and they have wins against the Lakers, the Hawks, the Bucks, and Toronto over, I think, their last couple of games. And it looks like Dennis Schroeder is starting to get into his best form, his best self. Kind of reminiscent of what we saw from him at points in time when he was in Atlanta and OKC, where he was like a 6th man of the year candidate, right?
Yeah. He had some great times in Atlanta though. When they moved Blake's favorite player, Jeff T, and picked him over Jeff, basically.
Yeah, man. But old Jeff.
Yeah. But thing with the Celtics is great because, as I said, they have these quality wins and their role players are playing really, really well. Marcus Smart's trying to find a little bit of stride for himself. Josh Richardson off the bench. I don't really know how great his numbers are, but he's looked like he's been somewhat of a shot creator off the bench and whatever. And they can use as many as possible outside of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Al Horford's doing kind of what you expect him to do. He's not like the 5 assist a game type of guy that he usually is, but he's still rather generally efficient from the floor, playing defense. And to defense, it looks like this team has found an identity. This team has been without an identity for the last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Hey, don't be shocked they lose the next game they play or something. They play Pistons and they lose because that's what this whole season's been for them. So
it probably will happen.
I'll give them another week, a week or two to see if them playing like this continues because I didn't seen it last like 2 weeks ago. They had a couple quality wins and they lost 3 in a row. So I don't know.
But they didn't have a run like this. Like I mentioned, the 7 out of the last 8. Yeah. Now, but to your point, here's where it gets tough because we always say Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on the court together frees or it brings a lot of issues, and Jaylen Brown hasn't even been there. So what happens when Jaylen Brown is back? Are we going to kind of see some of the same stuff that we saw before?
Yeah. They need to find like an even like heel type of mentality as far as let me not shoot every shot I get because I feel like both of them at times can shoot too much.
Yeah.
Well, one of them, either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, need to work on being like, I'm not saying they got to average 8 assists, but at least 5 to 6.
Yeah.
Because Jason Tatum's like on the lower end of probably like 3.
Yeah.
Probably need to be at 5.
He's really?
Yeah.
I really think to make 2 wings work together, you're going to either have to have a true point guard, which they just don't have, right? Cool. That's fine. So the alternative is one of our guys has to be able to distribute somewhat. You know what I'm saying? That's why we had some faith. I don't know how I don't know how I felt about it, but there was some reason to think remember when the Kawhi Lakers rumors were happening? There was some reason to feel optimistic about it because we know LeBron knows how to take a step back, and be more of a playmaker. We know he knows how to do that, right? So that's a good point. If you're gonna try to make those two scoring wings work, one of those guys has to be able to distribute at somewhat of a high level, and not even a high level, but to some extent.
Let me ask you, which one you think would benefit more out of doing that?
Tatum's your best player. Best player. But Brown's your second best player. I remember that was a debate. A couple years ago.
It was last year. I remember when Jason Tatum made an All-Star team or whatever, and I think was it Reggie? He was like, "You can debate Jalen." I was like, "No, I don't think it's debatable," but whatever.
Yeah, there was a point in time where I saw it, but I was like, "Nah, I don't know."
Yeah, I can't because Jalen Brown. They didn't expect. I'm be honest. They didn't expect him to
be that good.
His point, yeah, they didn't. No, they wanted him to be that good. They kind of drafted him as a defensive guard that can stretch the floor and shoot.
Yeah.
They didn't think his one-on-one game will become what it did. That's a plus.
Yeah. Because I mean, even in college, I didn't hear I remember he was hyped up a lot in high school, but even in college, I didn't hear much from. Yeah, granted, he was on a trash team in college, but still, I think Konzo Martin coached him, who's coaching Mizzou right now. Yeah, so
he
who knows?
Did coach Cal, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost to UMKC.
That's y'all. I told y'all to
started on him.
Carl has some Mizzou pride, don't you, Carl?
I got it. It's hidden. You ain't gonna see.
You ain't got no Mizzou pride.
I do. No, listen. I do.
When Mizzou won that football game, Ty, I know you saw in the chat how he was talking about them. Saturday.
He said they in a bowl. He said they in a bowl game. Carl said a toilet bowl game or something like that. This dude hate.
It's because I used to have confidence in them. They let me down, so I'm just paying my dues back by hating on them sometimes, even when they win. I
don't think you ever had confidence in them.
Oh yeah, I used to when they had basketball team James English. I know Ty remember James English.
Yeah,
that was
Their football team is kind of from things I've heard. Their football team is kind of a dumpster fire. So
it is. It's not. It would be better for me to root for the basketball team, like especially last year, than the Mizzou football team because they start off like slow and win like a couple games, give you confidence, and they lose a bad game. That's what they do.
Actually, I would kind of do it the other way around because your football team may be on the up and up. Ooh, these next,
we gonna be on the down and down. Watch when we lose.
Y'all may be good there, like in the next 2-3 years.
That could happen. Who knows?
Sound like a hopeful fan to me.
At that time though, like in 2 to 3 years, I'm not gonna care. Like every school I've left, I've not cared. Like when I left CBC, I don't care what's going on at CBC. Mizzou, I don't know. Am I gonna care about Mizzou when I leave?
You would probably, because you graduate, you would probably care. Because
you'll care.
Even
like every now and then I'll look at like CBC. I think football they going back to state. So every now and then I'll look.
Yeah, I don't care about CBC. He wrong though. I could give him. But Mizzou, like I look at their game still. I'll be saying they gonna lose, but I still look. I look even before I came to school. I check on Mizzou football. Yeah.
Yep. Man. Yeah. That's true, man. But yeah, I mean, rolling it all the way back to the Celtics. Maybe they found their stride. Maybe there are a couple teams that I'm hopeful or they're finding their stride. Like Portland has looked somewhat decent over the last couple of games. Like Dame looks like he's starting to find his. Yeah,
made that post last night. I think he's back. I think
he may be. And we knew Dame was going to be back in action at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew it was going to happen. Same with Harden. Like Harden just found his stride pretty much. You know what I mean? So
he's getting them free throws. I mean, he's found his stride. Yep. I agree with that. He's getting
19 for 20 on free throws the other night.
Yep, because of the free throws, he's getting it back. I'll just say that.
And that's going to be something to watch because that's going to be kind of game by game because we know reffing changes every night. So that's going to be something to look out for. Yeah.
If you watch that game's highlights, he actually got the foul calls he hasn't been getting.
Yeah. That's true. And we also kind of predicted that too because we did say the ref thing for now kind of looks like they're experimenting a little bit. And then
I think it's because all that damn crying and dudes.
Because it seems like they've been less harsh on it like now than the beginning of the season. We're still in the beginning of the season, but it looks like they're kind of balancing stuff out now. I don't know. I don't watch every single team every single night. And I'm not able to see all the calls, but who knows? So
yeah, I think you got to kind of work the kinks out in the refereeing a little bit. So
yeah, so we got to get us a big TV room with 18 TVs and watch every game every night.
That's what you know. That's what some of them analysts have to do, right? Like they literally have. I'm not like
Their job isn't as easy as people think.
It's funny because none of their analysis be good at all. They all talk about the same two teams. All of that.
I feel like the only ones that are good are the ones that's kind of independent and aren't like with the big ESPNs and Foxes.
Us. Podcast.
Yeah, podcast. Yeah, podcast. Yeah. You just you just said it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up? We're gonna almost bring us to the close. Was there anything else y'all wanted to bring up?
Okay, it's me. Steph been playing, out of his mind. Todd
MVP.
Yeah, MVP
yes.
for sure. Probably the best player in the league. You can go back and forth with him and KD. But Todd said like 2 weeks ago, he was like, I might have to go and make that change with Magic and Steph. Kind of switch and make Steph one. Yep. And then I said this. I said that's not crazy to say. I just got to see Steph like perform better in the finals. That's my only gripe against him at times. I don't know.
That's the gripe I disagree with because I really feel like Curry. We've seen Curry play out of his mind in the finals before, right? 2015, there were off nights, but he should probably have one finals MVP, but like other ones, I can't really tell how good he really played that final because KD played so dominant. He was the best player. That's the unfortunate part about it. True, but I can't say Curry hasn't really showed up in the finals before. I think that's a narrative now because even let's say if I'll just say this compared to what he does in regular season, that's what people do. They compare it to how great he put these 3-point numbers up in regular season. They want to see the same type of play in the finals. Though he might drop down, he might average like 25 points. I think people want to see him average like KD numbers like 30. I think that's what they're. Yeah, I don't think that may be untrue. That may be untrue, but I don't know if most guys feel like do a lot of guys put up the same numbers. I guess a lot of MVPs put the same numbers up.
MVP type of players like LeBron and KD and the Magic and the Michael Jordans and the great, them top 5, top 10 great players we talk about. They do. That's
true. That's true. But if we want to balance it out, we want to say built teams, right? Like if we want to say, okay, well, Curry had so and so. Magic had the Showtime Lakers. You know what I mean? The Showtime Lakers one of the best eras was one of the best eras in the history of the game.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Magic only got. Let me make sure you can keep going. I'm gonna make sure.
That game coming down to the wire, Carl.
It is, and Magic isn't nearly the same player he is now without that team. Let's just keep it a buck. I love Magic, but he's a different player if James Worthy isn't there and if Kareem isn't there and all those guys. Now Curry, we're seeing him without his best players, and these last 2 seasons he's been MVP candidate. So
that's true. I just look at it from. Dude, like Magic won the Finals MVP his first year, and he won the ring his first year. Even though it was a team, the team was great. Obviously, he had Kareem, and he had people. But I just feel like if Curry ends his career with like at least 2 or 3, probably at least 3 Finals MVPs, I might think about it. But you can put him over Magic. It's not crazy. I'm not saying.
I personally don't think it's nothing else Curry got to do. I think literally the greatest 3-point shooter of all time and a guy who changed the game the way he did. And he spearheaded. He was the best player on arguably the greatest team in the history of the game with that 2016 Warriors team. Yeah. All of that together. And he's also 34, 35. How old is he right now?
Yeah,
33. And he still looks like he's in his prime and arguably looks better than his last league MVP.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's just tough for me because I want to see the best player play the best, like 100. I just want to see him play the best like he plays in the regular season with the finals. And to me, sometimes I look at some game, I'm like, I don't know.
That boy Carl is tough. That boy Carl.
I'm not the only other people think the same. I'm not the only one that did it.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is just looking at his resume. Curry should have been Finals MVP, and I think we all agree if the Golden State wasn't hurt in 2018, we all agree they would have won that final series, right?
Yeah,
and who would have been MVP of that series? Curry.
Steph over KD.
KD was hurt that whole series.
KD was hurt.
I thought you said.
If Clay didn't get hurt, they would have.
No, he said nobody got hurt. That's why I said that.
I know.
I'm really thinking about. I got you, Carl. That's a good point.
Okay.
I'm really thinking about if Clay didn't get hurt. I'm really thinking about if Clay didn't get hurt.
I'll make sure I wasn't crazy. I was like, I know this.
Because if Clay didn't get hurt, it would have been balanced out. It would have been balanced out as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Curry has. I think he hasn't provided the clutch moments people have wanted him to compared to Magic. Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's just like you that great a player. He has it in him, but it's just like, to me, as great of a shooter as he is, I would expect him to have probably just as much a clutch shot as Kobe, LeBron and Michael Jordan, but he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Is that might be, I might be being picky, but that's just me. But.
You're being a little bit picky, but I get what you're saying though.
But and these are literally once you're within that top 3, top 2, you can say anybody within that is the best. So it's not like it's these militant dudes on Twitter who be there. Y'all wrong. Yeah, it's like y'all Kobe, Curry.
See what I'm saying. I said you can argue that. I'm just like arguing for me because if in that case you would probably where's Steph Curry all time list as far as just put him somewhere. Because if you making him better than Magic,
I think top 15 probably.
Because if you're making them better than Magic, you got to put them in top probably 6 or 7, probably most likely.
I know
5 maybe.
I know for a fact that Curry is top 10, and I do think when it's all said and done, y'all gonna hate me, but I do think when it's all said and done, when you look at his career as a whole, and you look at the things this dude has been able to do, he could end up being top 5 and maybe within top 3. If we look at everything put together.
Yeah, but it's just I think that 3 is interchangeable. I don't think nobody.
I can say top 5. I don't know about top 3.
Top 5. I don't think nobody on this planet is going to want to move Kobe, Michael Jordan, or LeBron. They'll want to move LeBron because it's more LeBron haters out there. Yeah. But everybody gonna want to move Kobe and Mike. I know that.
I could see, and y'all know. I think y'all know now from a skill standpoint. Y'all know my argument with Kobe is as from a skill standpoint. I don't think there's any player more skilled than Kobe. But if we're talking legacy, when you're talking legacy, I do think Curry. If things go the right way, I do think when it's said and done, Curry's basketball legacy could overtake Kobe's. You know what I'm saying?
What are you 3-2 in the finals?
Yeah.
No, 2 losses to who they 2.
The boy, LeBron.
One loss is to LeBron. The other one is to Kawhi. Kawhi was my favorite player back then because I hated the Warriors. So anybody that go against him, I love them. But I don't. Yeah. Kawhi, I still like Kawhi though. I don't love him. But.
I love Kawhi, man.
You love him. You love him, Carl.
That boy's stiff. I ain't never seen a great player that stiff in my life. That boy's stiff though.
Me neither.
You love Kawhi, Carl. Sorry.
That boy, I'll buy some new No, I'm just playing. I ain't never not them type, but yeah.
Yeah, man. Y'all. I think that just about does it. I'm gonna tap into these Lakers highlights or whatever because you guys did flip the script hella fast.
Let's see what they doing. Are we winning by 1 with a minute? No, we win by 3 with 1:46 left. See, y'all be hating. Y'all be hating on us. Y'all told me y'all about to lose. I knew he was making a comeback.
But y'all are about to lose.
But I don't really care. But I don't care is LeBron's not in the game, and also you're playing the Pistons, so I don't really care what happens.
The Pistons, they were supposed to make the playoffs, like y'all said, bro. We gotta respect.
That's true. But no,
I'm just playing. But they play. The Pistons play hard though. They ain't just no pushover like the Rockets. Rockets just be running up and down the court. I watched them the other day. That's literally all they do.
Here we go.
They are probably the worst team to watch right now. I'm not even gonna cap to you. I'm not even excited to watch. I know I like young talented teams, but I'm not even excited to watch those guys.
Remember when we said before the season started? I don't really know if it's any teams that's just hard to watch. They're hard to watch. They just run up and down the court and just throw up shots.
And I never thought with as many athletic and talented guys they have, they'd ever be hard to watch, but they just are pretty hard to watch right now.
Hey, dude said they did a whole amount of rebuilding in the offseason. Okay, no, they didn't.
Yeah. Well, maybe they did. Maybe they did. Well, no, they didn't.
They'll get it together. They'll get it together.
They got talent. They got a whole lot of talent.
Yeah.
They'll get it together. Ty, stop all that.
They just need They need. It's a whole bunch of young dudes. They'll make the playoffs 2028 or something. I don't know.
2028.
Yeah.
You said that casually. Yeah, y'all, that does it for this episode. We're not gonna be back till next Sunday or Monday.
We're trying to eat, man. We want to eat.
Yeah, man. We're trying to chill, get that Thanksgiving in, but we're gonna be back for sure.
Yeah. Carl, they're gonna cook them squirrels on that grill. Make sure y'all go to Carl's house. Get y'all some fresh squirrels.
All right. We're going, yeah. All right. That does
humans, bro.
All right, come on. With that, do it for this episode. Do not forget to like if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment, and download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're downloading us on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and also leave a review. And we will see you guys on next Monday. Next week. Yes, next week. Yep.